Hello everyone. So, I'm starting a new thing. It's I'm starting a new series. Um, it's not a gotcha thing or anything. It's kind of like the webtoon series that I had for a little bit. Uh, but it's on Wattpad this time and it's really good. I read this story before and I loved it and I wish there was like a second book to the series. Um the book is called Sheets and it's by Saren or Saren on Wattpad. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that correctly. But let's let's get into the story. So chapter 1. Its form, I thought to myself, a small smile on my lips as I snuggled further into crinkled sheets, tugging at the blankets around my chest. The blankets were strangely smooth and soft to the touch, and folded in an odd way around my body. Grumbling and still groggy with sleep, I pulled at the blanket to cover my shoulders properly, which were slightly chilled under the lazy withering of the fan overhead. The blankets moved in compliance, and I let out a content sigh. Sorry, my dog was doing something. Curling my body closer into the sheets, I frowned as the blanket slipped from my shoulders again, settling around my bare waist. My fingers gripped at the source of warmth, which laid heavily across my abdomen, making it difficult to breathe. Frowning at my movements didn't bring the blanket up. I peeled open my heavy lids to try and decipher where the blankets were snagging. My eyes followed the path down my arms, paled even against the whiteness of the sheets, to where my fingers were gripped around the blankets, which looked remarkably like a human arm. Blinking, confused, I raised the arm-shaped blanket, my stomach immediately growing cold without it covering my skin. As my eyes focused blurry on from both sleep and having no glasses on, I felt my heart stop as I squeezed my body, freezing as my fingers let go of the object in my hands. It's an arm. It's a fucking human arm. Oh my god, I whispered to myself, voice quivering as my breathing quickened, chest beating wildly as I glanced around the room with my legs than stellar eyesight. An unfamiliar calling greeted me, the smooth surface painted in dark green that was so different from the light blue walls of my own bedroom. The dark wood fan spun around, wobbling slightly with the labor, casting flashes of dark shadows across the room as it filtered out the light snapping into the room through the drawn white curtains. Posters of cars that were taped to the walls, the words on them too small to read, and across from the bed was a desk covered with anything and everything. A digital clock preached precariously on top of some old books, blinked 1:47 p.m. and lead writing clothes littered the room, some hanging off the desk's chair, others across the beanbag on the ground beside the window. There were some clothes strewn in a line from the door to the edge of the bed, ending with a pair of jeans draped across the foot of the bed. My jeans. Oh my god. I repeated again, voice croaky as the arm around my stomach moved, strong muscle wrapping tighter around my middle. This can't be happening. This can't be. My quiet voice was cut off by a loud groan, followed by an incoherent, sleep-brittle mumbling. A hot breath fanned my temple, making me crinkling my nose at this stale scent mixed with alcohol and cigarettes. Please tell me I'm not someone I know, or it's better that someone I know. Either way, I am fucked, I thought to myself, praying slightly as I closed my eyes, turning my head to the left. The breath that had hit the side of my face a moment ago was drifting across the skin of my nose. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3. As the figure exhaled, I opened my eyes sharply. The first thing I saw were the pink lips that were slightly parted and blowing on my face. A slither of straight white teeth peeked out from underneath. There was a shadow of dark stubble around the light lips. Then a gentle gleam of a metal ring, protruding from the bottom lip. My line of sight moved upwards in a strong nose, which was slightly acute in the center, where it had likely been broken at one point before. The nose was started between both smooth cheeks which rolled over defined cheekbones that caught the shadow of the warm weekend light, and scrunched up a little in annoyance as his arms pulled me closer, finger pressing into my flesh of my hip. Even with their eyes closed, I knew what color they were, because I knew who he was. Nico Beckett, I whispered, eyes widening as his name seemed to cause him to stir. Be quiet, I'm sleeping. Nico's sleepy, rough voice groaned, the sound reverting through his chest, which was pressed against my arm, which lay stiff between our bodies. His voice seemed to frick a switch inside me, because one moment I was laying there like a carcase, and the next I was on my feet and scrambling to pick up my clothes that seemed to be everywhere. First my underwear, then my jeans, which were on the end of the bed, with my phone nestled in the back pocket, and my underwear, which were on the floor beside him. I then snatched up my glasses that wobbled on top of the side of the tissue box on the bedside table. My t-shirt was on top of the desk beneath what I assumed to be the shirt Nico had been wearing the night before. One of my socks dangled around the edge of the paper bin, the other nowhere to be seen. One of my shoes was by the door, the other dangling by the laces on the doorknob, quickly pulling my shoes on, my jeans still unfastened, my shirt on back to the front and inside out, and my shoes unlaced. I ran out the door. I didn't care where, I just wanted to get out of there, out of Nico Beckett's sheets. Fuck, 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 I chanted as I ran, my feet taking me around the street corner. It wasn't until I completely out of breath, feet hurling and chest heaving, that I realized I was standing on my doorstep, my feet managing to take me back home, despite my head being a complete mess. Banging on the door, I frantically ran my hand through my light hair, nails scraping the dark roots that were beginning to break through. The usually neatly brushed locks were muddied with sweat and God knows what else, almost crunchy under my fingers. Glancing around, my fist still slapping against the wood panel between the glass inlay of the door, I swallowed thickly as I saw my neighborhood Maggie staring at me with curious eyes under her vision. Her hands, which had been trimming the hedge that separated our homes, became idle as she tilted her head to the side, eyes narrowing. Not a moment too soon, my fist suddenly met air mid-knock as the door swung open, revealing my older sister, who was giving me an unassumed look as she held her toothbrush between her teeth. Brushing past her and slamming the door shut, leaning on it heavily, I coughed and slapped my hand on my chest, trying to physically will it to calm. Mom will be happy to know that you're not dead in a ditch somewhere. Jamie smirked as she popped the toothbrush out of her mouth, whipping the stray white suds from the side of her mouth with the back of her hand, a little dribbling onto the front of her oversized shirt, which hung down past her waist to her mid-thigh. The bottom of her loose shorts were almost visible underneath the large shirt, which had her slender figure under its fabric. Her brown hair was tied up in a loose knot in the top of her head, slightly lopsided with the weight of her long hair, the towel hairband barely holding back the shorter strands from her face. Sorry. I'm alive, I think. I breathed out. Voice started strained after running. Jamie's eyes alight as she grinned. I told you we were staring at Benny's house, even though you clearly weren't. You can thank me later. I'll take cash or credit. My sister laughed, her free hand looping itself around mine. Thanks, I replied, sarcastically, my voice almost returning to normal as I finally regained my breath, though as the adrenaline began to ebb away and my head began to throb as my mouth became dry, tongue slivering. I felt the sense of dread grow as I felt pain in another area, much lower down. It was burning, bursting pain which radiated around my upper thighs and lower back and felt deep. Oh, shit, please tell me we didn't. My baby's first high school party, Jamie sighed happily, squeezing my arm as she gave me a sniff. And the smell of toothpaste making me feel a little queasy. He definitely hasn't had a drink. You're also obviously sweet. You're also obviously sweetie. Jamie's eyes grew curious as her lips curled up into mischievous skin. Maybe he lost you. I didn't! I shouted, wincing with a sharp noise as my head split again. Jamie's eyes widened before a large burst of my minty air flew from her mouth as she doubled over, head shaking as she laughed. Her shoulders bobbed up and down as she sucked in uncontrolled breaths, tears burning the corner of her eyes. My cheeks flushed crimson as I turned away from her, heart hammering painfully as I remembered the heat of Nico's arms across my stomach. His fingers on my waist, his breath on my cheek, nausea rose on my stomach, and I didn't think it was because I was hungover. I was joking, Wes. Jamie wheezed, slapped me on the back as he straightened, rubbing the tears from her eyes. Oh my God, your reaction was golden. You should do this more often. It's so much more entertaining. Coughing a little after her laughing fit, Jamie's eyes grew softer as she rode my hair, grimacing as something clearly got caught under her nail. But you need to shower. Be quiet, though. Mom's sleeping, says the one who's bringing the house down with her laughter. I grumbled, pushing away the lit feeling swirling in my pit of the empty stomach. Jamie shrugged as she smiled, strumming as she pushed me to the stairs towards the bathroom. I tried to hold it together as I closed the door behind me, sliding the lock into its place, leaning against the stone corner, hands on either sides of the white sink. I tentatively looked up into the mirror. I felt sick again as I messed in front of me. Blonde hair, roots browning, was greasy and clung to my forehead. The black fat from where I had been lying down the night before. My cheeks were flustered beneath my freckles, and dark bags arching in this sentence beneath my eyes, which were red in awe. My lips were cracked, and I tasted a little like alcohol and blood as I licked them. My mouth parched. I looked like a mess, but even my appearance couldn't dominate the garbage dump of emotions inside of me. Turning on the tap, the handles squeaked in a high-pitched tone that made me flinch with pain. I dunked my mouth under the steam of cold water, drinking greedily. After I wasn't completely dehydrated, water slipping down my chin and onto the floor in front of my crinkled t-shirt. I pulled it off slowly and gagged a little as I saw a trail of red brushing marks running from the curve of my shoulder down to the skin above my waistband and jeans. Fuck, I cursed, hands shaking as I rubbed at the red splotches of skin. the color glancing and then returning as I released pressure. Frantic, I grabbed a towel by the side of the sink and dunked it in water, slapping it onto the bedrolls on my skin. When I pulled the towel away, they were still there. This isn't real. I shook, voice weak as I stared at the hickeys that littered my body. Thinking about the most probably giver that said hickeys. My memory was hazy, and the only images I could conjure up in my mind were fragments of my overreactive imagination. Nico's body and mine, the ends of his dark hair tickling my shoulders as his lips nibbed and sucked, his tongue slick as he flicked against my skin. No, 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 I chanted, shaking my head as my headache erased all of my terrifying thoughts. Tearing my eyes from the mirror, I quickly slipped out of my pants and discarded my underwear into the laundry basket, shoving my shirt in after them. Every time I moved my legs, my lower back ached and groaned, and my searing, burning pain flattered. Don't think about it, don't think about it, don't think about it, I mumbled, almost pleading to myself as I stepped into the shower, only twisting the cold tap. There was a gurge before the sizzling stream of water began to drizzle down my back. As the droplets slithered down from the division of a spine, I felt the pain begin to lessen slightly. Carefully, my stomach clenched as I released a hand backwards, pressing against my ass tightly. Pain tunneled upwards as I hissed, almost slapping the water tiles, and my knees buckled. Not good, I said to myself, voice bleak as some hot, salty water mingled with the coldness running down my cheeks. Really not fucking good. So that was episode 1. Well, chapter 1. Also episode 1. I have no idea what to say. It progresses, like, really progresses, and, like, the next few chapters will have smut in it, so. If you don't know what smut is, it's just, like, gay. It's gay. Sex. That's what it is. And yeah. And as you can see, I don't have intros nor an outro since I am recreating them. Recreating all of them. But yeah. But yeah. I hope you like that. Comment down below if you want more. I'm gonna do it anyway. And yeah. That's it for now. Peace out.